Fight Night 101 Throwback Fight of the Day, Jack Johnson. John Arthur Jack Johnson was a pioneering figure in the rich history of boxing. At the height of the Jim Crow era, Johnson, also known as the Galveston Giant, became the first African-American World Heavyweight Champion from 1908 to 1915. Johnson was born in Galveston, Texas in 1878. Was the son of a former slave and one of 6 children. Johnson tried unsuccessfully to escape the hometown of Galveston at the age of 12 and began working in a carriage shop. It was there where his boss, who was an ex-fighter, taught Johnson how to box. After working on the docks, Johnson would challenge his fellow workers to a match to make money on the side. Winning his first ever bout, he collected a purse of $1.50. Johnson made his professional debut in Galveston in 1898, knocking out his first opponent, Charlie Brooks, in the second round of the 15-round bout. In his third bout, Johnson was matched up against John Haynes, also known as the Black Hercules, who had unofficially declared himself the Black Heavyweight Champion. Johnson lost by TKO. After being jailed in Texas, where prize fighting was illegal, Johnson and his opponent Joe Chowinski was allowed to spar in jail. Johnson proclaims that his time spent in jail made him recognize his skills and credits Chowinski with the success in boxing. Jack Johnson's boxing style was like no other in the sport at the time. In the early rounds of his bouts, he was patient with his opponents, beginning cautiously, then becoming aggressive. He would carry on conversations with people ringside during his fights. When Johnson became annoyed with his opponent, he would fight to punish. Many in the press deemed Johnson's fighting style to be cowardly, but praised the World Heavyweight Champion Jim Corbett, who used the same techniques as Johnson. After becoming the first African-American heavyweight champion on December 26, 1908, defeating Canadian Tommy Burns, he vacated the World Colored Heavyweight Championship. After defeating Burns, there was a call to find the Great White Hope to take out Johnson, but to no avail. Johnson's effort to fight the heavyweight champ James Jeffries went unanswered for 6 years because Jeffries refused to fight him. But in 1910, Jeffries, who had long retired, agreed to a bout against Johnson with a lot of prodding and the promise of a purse of $120,000. Johnson versus Jeffries was considered the fight of the century. Johnson, the younger fighter, outboxed Jeffries, and in the 15th round, his corner threw in the towel to avoid knockout. Johnson silenced all the critics, and Jeffries was humbled in the loss, proclaiming, "I would never have whipped Johnson at my best." Johnson continued fighting professionally until he was 60 years old, when age finally caught up to him. He died on June 10, 1946, at the age of 68 in a tragic car crash. In 1954, Johnson was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your contribution.